Shanti, good morning or good evening, maybe to some of you. I think good morning to most of you. Shanti, thank you for
Shanti.
joining us. Shanti, let me come. Thank you for joining us this morning. So, we have begun a series of classes where we're rereading some of Mama's classes. And then also we get a chance to have a little bit of a chit chat and question and answer during these sessions. I know that some of you have attended the other ones, or you might have watched the video afterwards. And you'll recall we're hearing these Morales from 1958. So we'll carry on that series. The themes that seem to be coming out of these classes surround a lot around the Father's introduction and the distinction between the Supreme Soul and every other soul. This seems to be coming out quite a lot. I think that we hear this in the Morally too, where Mama and Baba, they're trying to help us extract our intellect from being scattered to just being connected with one. Ultimately, Raj Yoga is about depending on one, relying on one, seeking fulfillment from one. And I think by explaining to us that you can't really purify the soul, fill the soul through anyone else. It doesn't matter how many devotional practices you do. If you are remembering an angel, a deity, a saint, a religious father, you are not going to get what you aim for. You might get something because you did do something, but you won't get what you aim for. And there was a comment in the Morally a few days ago where Baba was saying that the original devotion in India at the start of the Copper Age was also monotheistic worship of one incorporeal Shiva. And Baba tells us that we were those souls at that time as the original devotees. And the comment that he made was that you didn't have any sorrow at that time. It was only after your devotion became adulterated that sorrow began for you. So even on the path of devotion, this singularity of remembrance, this understanding of the incorporeal Shiva was very important. And it really does amaze me that there are so many temples in India. And as far as I know, there isn't even one to incorporeal Shiva left. So we started with only temples to incorporeal Shiva. And we end the cycle with no temples to incorporeal Shiva. And this is why Baba comes to restore that understanding again. And then the second distinction is between soul and supreme soul. And the way in which Mama tends to explain it, a little bit different to Baba's Morali. In not that different, but a little bit different. What Baba focuses a lot on is the theory of omnipresence. So he talks about how if you consider the soul to have emerged from the Supreme Soul, you almost are saying that you got a part of God inside of you, and that's your soul. And so then what flows from that is everyone's got God inside of them. God is then omnipresent. And you're saying that even people who commit crimes, God was inside of them. So Baba sees that as an insult to him. Mama takes it up in the connection with karma, usually. So she says that if the soul and supreme soul were the same, then why would human beings be suffering for their actions? The supreme soul doesn't suffer. If you are the supreme soul, you would be beyond the suffering of the karma you perform. And indeed, the karma you perform would only be positive. So she tends to take it up in that way. So I'll hand over to Ranjan Bell now to read this next class.
Om Shanti, good morning to all. Last week we heard 16th December. And do you remember how Mama ended? It was about Baba, although God is Lord of innocence, he is not so innocent. And yet he is bestower when it comes to giving. So, and then Mama showed, explained that why Baba is not so innocent, that he will just accept a piece of paper. Means if you give your checking and you think, oh, well, I've given my checking and that's fine, I'm all right now. But Baba is saying that Baba is not that innocent that you can just cheat, isn't it? So you have to place everything you have in front of him. And so Baba likes a very clean heart, honest heart, and receive everything from him. In this, you must not consider anything to belong to you. You have to place your useless things in front of him. Only when you have such courage can you do something. Acha? So, not to try to be too clever to in front of God, because you are cheating yourself and causing loss for the self. So now today we'll hear the Murli of 17th December 1958. So it was the next day, Mama gave a class. The soul does not merge with the Supreme Soul, but becomes just like him. So we all are making efforts to become equal to the Father. Both the fathers, angelic for Baba and incorporeal Baba Shiv Baba. Om Shanti. The elevated versions of God say that he is the seed and the creator of this creation. Human souls say that they merge with the infinite light. So now there is a difference between what God says and what human souls say. A tree is merged in a seed, and then the tree is created from the seed. The soul cannot merge with the infinite light. So in Hindi it says Jyoti Jyot mein samaya, merge in the infinite light. We are now settling all our accounts and returning home. God also says, I have come to establish the new world once again. We are actually seeing this. So Baba talked about the cycle today. Whatever has passed, it goes under and comes again. So Baba's talking about the cycle, that it will come. So once again, Baba has come, and we go and then go again and again. We are actually seeing this. This world is to be destroyed. This world here is the world of sorrow. We are now going to the world of constant happiness. We now have to make effort for that. We cannot merge with the light. The soul have to come onto the stage to play their part, because this creation is eternal. God has created a creation of happiness. Only if there is no trace of sorrow in it can it be called the world of happiness. If there is the slightest trace of sorrow, that cannot be called happiness. Nowadays, there is only temporary happiness in the world. So this proves that everyone is unhappy. We are now going towards permanent happiness. If there is even temporary sorrow there in the golden age, that cannot be called happiness. Just as God is eternal, his property is also eternal. So Baba's property is the new world, the golden age, and so it's our property as well. Whatever belongs to Baba, it belongs to us as well. We have to claim it. There cannot be sorrow or peacelessness in him. So Mama is pointing out that his property is also eternal, and then there cannot be sorrow or peacelessness in him. So we also check ourselves. Have I become like Baba? No sorrow or peacelessness, equal to Father. We will only be liberated from all this sorrow when our past karmic accounts are settled. Only then can we go into the world of happiness. Whilst alive, we are engaged in making this effort with God. By settling our accounts through experiencing punishment from Dharamraj, the supreme judge, we do not create any reward, but we have to create our complete reward. So it's up to us to create our own rewards by making efforts like Baba and not being punished. We have to experience happiness whilst alive, and so we have to settle our accounts whilst alive. Then we have to create our reward through him. This is just very short, so I'll finish this and then you can explain, and if anybody has anything to clarify, wanting. So I'll just carry on. It's just half a page now.
I already gave the...
We have to experience happiness whilst alive, and so we have to settle our accounts whilst alive. Then we have to create our reward through him. Karan Karavanhar himself comes. It's Karan Karavanhar means the one who gets it done. And that is Shiv Baba, Bap Dada, through Brahma Baba, and all of us, and inspires us to carry out his task. He carries it out through souls. We now know what our relationship with him is. Only when all other supports are broken does God come and give us support. Only he has the power to give us support. At present, all supports are being broken. Sorrow and peacelessness are increasing. No one has merged with the infinite light. This is third or fourth time Baba mentioned. Nor is anyone constantly happy. The versions of God are, I come at the end of the Kalpa. I come and make the entire tree new. I plant a sapling. It is only because all these things are in the intellect now that we are able to make effort. We have to make effort whilst alive and create our reward. So Mama has drawn our attention again, how to create our own reward. We know what our reward is and what the effort for that is. This is knowledge. But all the others have just been relating and listening to stories. So that is the Bhakti Marg, the devotional marg.
Wow.
They do not know God's biography. Nothing happens by just remembering his life story. Radha and Krishna and so on are souls who are complete with all virtues. Their faces are constantly smiling. So deities are always smiling because they have virtues. We are now imbibing those sanskars. We are settling our old karmic accounts. The world thinks that when a person dies, he becomes a resident of heaven. And when a sage or saint dies, they say that he has merged with the light. We now know that the world that was heaven is now the extreme depths of hell. God is now making that into heaven. We are now making effort to go there. No human being can carry out this task. By forgetting the Father and his task, human souls have forgotten their own role. He is the one who gives salvation to us souls. The Supreme Soul is totally detached. He only has a connection with souls. So Baba remains detached eternally because he just has connection with the souls. Where we become body conscious, and that's why the connection breaks. So Baba, he only has, so Baba is showing us the method, Mama, how to have the Supreme Soul is totally detached. He only has a connection with souls. We now know that we have a very deep connection with him. God is unique, and so his role is also unique. Human beings cannot enact that role now, nor will they be able to. And this is why his role is said to be unique. So Mama explained nobody can have Shiv Baba's role. That's why it's unique. Acha, Om Shanti. So those who, today's Murli was more, there were quite a few points like that about effort and studying every day. Wasn't it? Sorry.
So we
Oh,
heard,
no.
so we heard from Mama this clear explanation that you've got the Supreme Soul, then in the middle you've got us human souls, and then you've got nature and this world. And she was explaining that it's the human soul that's connected both ways. We are connected up above to the seed, the Supreme Soul, and we're learning now how to connect completely with him. And we are also connected down here with nature. And because we're connected down here with nature, we are the ones who are subjected to the law of karma. The thoughts, words, and actions we perform result in a return of happiness and sorrow. This is why we have to understand that it's not that we came out of the Supreme Soul and that we will then go and merge back into the Supreme Soul, but we are always in the middle of the two energies, the Supreme Soul and nature. And the Supreme Soul, he is never directly connected with nature. For example, he enters the body of Brahma Baba but it's the soul of Brahma Baba whose body it is. It's never Shiv Baba's body. He always says that he takes it on loan. And so to understand that the Supreme Soul is neither directly connected with nature, and he is not subject then to the law of karma and rebirth, means that the Supreme Soul is consistent in his purity and his energy. We souls are always changing. We change in terms of our roles, the bodies that we have. We change in terms of our purity, our power. We change in terms of our experience of happiness and sorrow, success and failures. So Mama is saying, how can you say that the soul and the Supreme Soul are the same? It's by understanding the distinction that we can understand the relationship we have to have with Baba. She was saying that it's only when all the other supports have been broken that we gain Baba's support. So we tried so many different spiritual paths. We've tried having the supports of people. We've tried having the supports of nature, and within nature would come wealth and would come property and possessions. We've had all the supports of positions. And where has it got us? 63 births of connecting down here. Where has it got us? We've ended up broken on the inside. So now we're learning that there was only ever one true support anyway. And we say this in devotion. We sing this in devotion. We write poems and songs and all sorts, but we never really have the yoga for it. We're just repeating things inside. We're just singing things, chanting things, saying things, but that's not yoga. Yoga is where I understand the Supreme Soul and I learn how to concentrate my mind. I have to use my thoughts to connect with Baba and then make my thoughts still on Baba. So let me hand over to all of you now. Ambika Ben, I wonder if you would like to start off by giving your reflections on what we heard.
Okay, sure. Morning, everyone. I like the point that Mama emphasized on the support, you know, as you indicated as well, all supports, whether it was in our local home, whether it's in the religious founders, the religion, have all become fragmented in one point or another. And sometimes I feel for Brahmins, sometimes we still tend to depend sometimes first on our soul, because we have good relationships. And it's important because sometimes you need somebody to bounce off ideas with. But I've always felt that a soul first recourse is to be able to connect with Baba. And in connecting with Baba, I've always had this thought is that Baba will move aside if I am seeking support elsewhere. And he'll say, child, I will be here. He'll always be there. But it's important, I feel, always to go to Baba in the quiet moment in solitude and from your heart. Because sometimes we're not clear on certain things. And if I feel I haven't gotten it clear because my connection is so clear, then I can also, take support, and it depends on who I take support, meaning more advice from. So, and we're seeing more and more within families, there's this fragmentation that's taking place. And well, religions for sure, because people are always searching. But my thing is this support, how important it is. Mama churning of Baba's knowledge has always been so clear and to the point, where she always, as I said before, her knowledge on karma philosophy is always so deep. And because she understands it so clearly, because I feel also when we take support elsewhere, we tend to want to we create karmic accounts and bondages as well. So that sometimes to loosen those strings of attachment that happens, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So at the time of need, we may not have that support physically around us. So it is really getting into this practice of, it is Baba all the time. Physical support on a certain level, yes, is important as well, but it is this one support, one Baba, how important that is. Another thing I wanted to ask, brother, a little diversion from Mama's Murli, Drishti, Mama's Drishti. What was Mama's Drishti about that made Mama's Drishti what it was? And another question, because in a group discussion that we had recently, is that I think one of Baba's Murli too had talked about Drishti and from the forehead. But I have always found that Drishti has to come from the eyes. And Sakash can come from the forehead. But this Drishti, what is your take on Drishti having to be through the eyes, and Mama eyes in particular?
Thank you, sister. So I think that it's a very interesting yoga experimentation for us to do. And certainly at Amrit Vela, we will do this, where I think for each of us, we have been given these sets of photos of Mama and Baba so that we can experiment with the drishti. I don't know if you were there that day, but I can remember us doing these chit chats in previous years where we did take up some of the pictures of Brahma Baba and we were practicing different relationships with different photos. And you see, at the time when Mama and Baba were there, you could not get these pictures. These photos were not available. They were only released by Shiv Baba after Baba and Mama departed. And it was good that they were taken, in fact, because otherwise Brahma Baba was not very keen on photographs, but I think it was far-sighted. And I think I've shared this story with you before, that there was a chit-chat among Daddy Janki, Sudesh Didi, and Jayanti Didi when they were starting off the center here in London, because Daddy had left Madhuban and it was quite a bit of it was a little bit of a surprise that a senior Daddy was being asked to leave India to come overseas, because there was obviously a lot to do in India as well. And there were not many BKs that had been emerging in the previous 5 years in London or elsewhere too. So there wasn't a big demand, it seemed. But Sister Jayanti's family had advocated for some time that Daddy Janki should come. And eventually Didi Manmohini and Daddy Prakash Mani agreed that she should go. Initially, they had asked Sarla Didi, actually, who was the Didi of Gujarat, and she had declined. She felt that she was a bit too Indian, I think, and India suited her better. And then it came to Daddy Janki. And Daddy Janki wouldn't say no to Didi and Daddy, but she still wasn't totally convinced. And so she had asked to have a personal meeting with Bab Dada. So that was agreed to. And it was just Bab Dada and her in Baba's room in Madhuban. And she got the chance to just ask directly, what should she do? And Baba had said to her that she should go. And what was in her mind was firstly that if she goes, she won't be able to sit in that Baba's room in Madhaban. And initially she was just coming for 3 months anyway. But she still had that feeling. And Baba's response to her was that you will get a Baba's room like this there. And she said, but I won't be able to look at this picture and relate to this picture that's in the light box picture in Baba's room. And Baba said, we can send one. And so for many years, only London had the identical Baba's room picture as in Madhaban. No one else was allowed, but because Baba had said Daddy Janki could have it, we had it in London. And so what you get is this, the way in which the Daddies have also related to Baba after Baba became an angel is through the power of yoga. They have used these pictures to gain the drishti. They've turned the non-living into living. So when Daddy came to London, she was saying that she wants Brahmababa's picture like this here. But both Jayanti Didi and Sudesh Didi were unsure because they felt it may come across like a guru. And you do find this in some centers. They just put Shiv Baba's picture. So they were of that mind. And in those days, Jayanti Didi used to go into trance and take Bhog messages on a Thursday. So they asked Baba, and Baba came back with the message that for Baba, whether he gives drishti through a body or through a picture, it's the same for him. And so he said you should have these pictures of Brahma Baba because it's actually Shiv Baba giving that drishti through that picture. So as you say, I think the word drishti does literally mean vision, so it would be connected with the eyes. However, as you say, I think you put it well, that there is also the third eye, which is the forehead, the third eye of the soul, the third eye of the intellect. So that vibration through the jewel in the forehead, the sakash, would also be called a form of drishti. I've shared with you another story of one of the students at the London Centre. His name is Manubai. He's still around. He's a contemporary of Ranjanbek, that generation. And in those days of the early 80s, they were able to meet Baba in quite a small gathering. Baba used to speak the Murli sitting on the floor, if you can imagine. And it would just be like people just surrounded around, because when Brahma Baba was around, he used to sit on the floor and meet everyone. You will see the pictures of him sitting on that rectangular seat, but that was only because it was a bigger gathering and they needed to see him from the back. But when it was a smaller gathering, he would only sit on the floor. And so in those days, Daddy Gulzar would have been in her 50s, so she was able to also sit on the floor. And Baba met them on the floor of the meditation hall in Pandit Bhavan. And he spoke the more, they were sort of sitting horizontally, so he was at the horizontal side of the hall, and the gathering was around him. He spoke the Murli, and I think it must have been mainly a group from the UK or Europe that was mainly meeting him that day. And so then Baba asked the gathering if anyone had any questions. And Manubai was never shy. So Manubai asked Baba, Baba, how come you never gave me any drishti? The whole Murli went by and you never gave me any drishti. You gave drishti to everyone else. He was quite new as well as a BK. So maybe it was even his first time going to meet Baba. So we have a little bit more maybe of a devotional feeling as well about these things. And what do you think Baba's answer was? Baba's answer was that it's the children's job to remember the father. And if you remembered the father, that's drishti. So Baba's got a bit of a broader perspective of what is drishti. And I think that's where it includes the forehead, because it's that vibration. And so I had that practice for many years, even when I was meeting Baba in the physical form, that I was concentrating. So maybe Baba is looking at the other side of the hall, but I was very carefully visualizing the 2 points in the forehead of Daddy Gozar. And I sat with the attitude that I was drawing drishti. So with his third eye, Baba was giving me drishti, while with his 2 eyes, he was giving someone else drishti. So I always sat for those number of hours with the attitude that I was getting drishti for the full number of hours. And then your question about Mama's drishti is an intriguing one, and certainly let's spend the month of June. I'll do it every morning with everyone for the early Amrit Vela, and you can all do it at your own times as well. So let's experiment with what Mama's drishti is like. You can see the picture that I've chosen, and I feel it just conveys a lot of her personality, being very, very sweet and pure and loving. And for me, there's 2 daddies that you would have met, Ambika Ben, and some of the others would have met. Daddy Gulzar and Daddy Janki, whose drishti reminds me a lot. And I think we would put Daddy Prakashmani also in that. The innocent side for me, the sweetness, is something that Daddy Gulzar conveyed. The way in which everyone experienced Daddy Gulzar reminded me always of how people used to talk about Mama. They used to talk of Mama as like being a goddess that's incarnated. Even the daddies felt she was very different. And I remember during Daddy Gulzar's funeral as well, Gopal Dada lived in New Rohtak Road at the Panda Bhavan in Delhi, where Daddy Gulzar used to reside. Those of you who are older, you'll remember that we used to always travel to Madhuban through Delhi in the early days and catch that 19-hour train to get to Madhuban. And it was Gopal Dada who organized all of our tickets and transport. And I'd even stayed there for a few days on a couple of occasions and met him and Daddy Gulzar privately a few times. And during Daddy Gulzar's funeral, Gopal Dada said that she was just not made of the material of this world. She was always from the beginning made of angelic stuff. And it was just like she had come as an angel to come and live with us. And then she just went back to being an angel again. And I think that's the first drishti that we get from Mama. I think Daddy Gulzar gave us the experience of what Mama was like. And then I was hearing, again, I think it might have been during Daddy Janki's funeral or maybe like an anniversary day, that Karuna Dada was sharing his experiences taking drishti from Daddy Janki, even in recent years. And I've had many, you can imagine, I've had so many experiences of Daddy Janki's drishti. But one of the things that always I experienced through Daddy was her ability to read the soul. Daddy Janki had developed her yoga, and there's a term that Baba uses, which is Rajyukt. So what Baba says is, through knowledge, you have to become yukti yukt. And the meaning of yukti, the Y-O-O-K-T-I with the soft T, is being sort of wise and smart and sensible. So you're handling things in the way they need to be handled. So as we become master knowledgeful, we become yukti. We become wiser, more mature, smarter. And yukt means complete in something, Y-O-O-K-T. So Baba says, through knowledge, you become yukti yukt. Through Baba's remembrance, you become yoga yukt. So yoga is like it's the same word as yoga, but sometimes, usually in southern India, they add the A at the end of a word. It's a dialect. And in northern India, they usually say the same word without the A at the end. So northern India would be yog, and in southern India, yoga. Northern India would be Christian, southern India, Krishan. Ram and Rama, like this. So it's the same word. It's just, you can say it both ways. So Yog Yukt means being complete with yoga power. And what Baba says is then you move to a stage of becoming Raz Yukt. And Raz means knowing all the secrets. So R-A-A-Z, knowing the significance behind things, knowing the secrets behind things. And as these daddies develop their yoga and their knowledge, what Karuna Dada was conveying was he had the same experience when he used to take drishti from Mama. It was as if Mama was looking inside of your soul at something you didn't know was there. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, a couple of South African brothers and sisters shared that they're having their retreat at the moment with Jayanti Devi, and she mentioned Ranjan Ben and me again. Yeah, you'll remember that she mentioned us the other day, and someone had signposted us to that. And I've got the video also just now of, I think she said pretty much the same thing. Now, the first time that Daddy Janki visited our home in London, so what Sister Jayanti is telling is the story that we didn't start off with that much, quite humble beginnings. It was only Ranjan Ben and me pretty much. And then again, I went to the bottom school in my municipality in London. So I didn't go to like any special school or have any special privileges. And so you would definitely have to credit Baba and Baba's knowledge and yoga for advancing even our practical circumstances. And I think what she's conveying, it's not that if you're focusing on Raj Yoga, your material career side depletes. In fact, the other way around. And the first time the daddy came to our home, she was surprised that it wasn't better. And she made this comment. So this was, I think I can even remember the date, the 3rd of September, 1995. I was 17 at the time. And she made the comment that his house isn't that great. His family isn't that privileged. But when I look at him, into him, his karma seems really good. This was the comment. So she was looking at my karmic accounts from the past. And it's very interesting. So then look later in life, that good karma has come back and helped in many ways. And she said, like, for example, when she'd visit later, this is many years later, she'd visited us as we moved up here to the middle of England. She said that she can foresee that the silence from this place will spread throughout the UK and then into the world. And we didn't know we'd be like meeting all of you, doing early Amrit Velas with all of you. You know, it's very interesting. She foresaw that in 2006. Then I was in Madhaban for a while once, and with Dedi Prakashmani, and Dedi Prakashmani had said to Dedi Janki, yes, she'd looked into my forehead and saw that I was like Dada Vishwakishore. And Dada Vishwakishore was a very practical person. He was good with money and finances, and he was like the connection between the Yagya and the world. So he was almost like a foot in both places type of person. So he had already run his own business before, he was married before, and he was experienced. And so you look, I'm comfortable in both spaces, equally comfortable. And so she foresaw these things by looking into the soul. So I think there's an element of Mama's drishti, where when you look into her eyes, she knows you. She knows you because she's a parent son. And I think these parent souls, they have this about them. They know their children. And because they know their children, they interact with you in a way you need. They let you grow in a way you need. And you can see that every Brahmin is sort of growing and blossoming in their own speed, in their own way. And Baba sustains everyone the way they need. So those would be my early thoughts. Benjamin, did you want to say anything? Ambika Ben, do you want to come back on that?
Anybody else?
If anybody else wants a chat. The only other thing I wanted to ask, and those explanation very good, brother. Where Mama is concerned, or even the advanced party, have Baba ever indicated whether or not where their births would ever be, if whether it's the possibility of outside of Bharat or only in Bharat?
Yes, I think it can be elsewhere. I don't know, like where Mama is. With Daddy Prakash Mani, definitely India. And this was something you might even remember that I can remember being in Madhaban once or twice, or maybe even in London, where Daddy Prakash Mani was asked that does she feel she's had births outside of India in the cycle, and she always said no. She's taken all of her 84 births in India. And in 2011, it would have been her 4th anniversary. It was the last time, but you might remember that Baba sent back Daddy Prakash Mani 4 years in a row on her anniversary day to come and meet us. And it was that 4th year in 2011 where we got a bit more detail. And I think it was Niluban who asked her, where are you now? And she asked her, are you in the foreign lands or here? And Daddy said, no, not the foreign lands, in India. So I think with Daddy Prakashani, it is very, very clear that she had always felt that her connection was with India. And one thing that people used to ask Daddy Janki is, did Brahma Baba ever come overseas? And she said that they had thought about that, but he never actually did. And I was hearing his son, Brother Narayan's interview back from 2004. And his son was explaining that before Shiv Baba's knowledge, Brahma Baba had twice got his passport made with an idea to visit London. And both times something came up and he didn't go. So Brahma Baba also had never left India. I mean, as long as you include Nepal within that, in the Indian subcontinent, he hadn't left India. And Brahma Baba had never even sat in a plane. So that's even not in the cycle. Well, maybe in the golden age we have those things, but not in the at this time. Mama had gone in internal planes in India, but not outside of India there. So in that corporeal sense, it didn't happen. But one thing that Sister Jayanti talks about is the importance of where the 8 jewels went. So she had been trying to get service started in London since 1969, and nothing was really happening until Daddy Janki came. And then after Daddy Janki came, they had taken I think Daddy Chandramani had come, and then Didi Manmohini was the first person to go to the US. She had gone to New York. So the first, after Daddy Janki, the first of the 8 jewels to have gone across. And she said that it was after Didi went that then the service of the Americas really began to get going. And then it would have been late 90s, maybe early 2000s, that Daddy Janki arranged for Daddy Gozar to go to Argentina and Brazil. Daddy Janki had gone there, but because it's just so far, there were BKs who hadn't met Baba. And so Daddy arranged for Daddy Gozar to go. And the 8 jewels have gone even in their confluence aged form. They have reached all of the continents. So I think there's a significance to them going, because Africa would have had several daddies. Australia didn't have Didi Manmohini, but did have the other senior daddies go. Asia's had, we know that Asia was the first place where Daddy Prakash Mani went back in the 1950s. So, and Russia, again, I think most of the senior daddies went there. So I think there's significance, firstly, to them going. And then the only one of the advanced party where I can recall Baba saying it in a message. And again, I'll have to recheck this, make sure I didn't mishear it. But as far as I can recall, when Brother Ramesh left, in that message, Baba said that he's gone to take birth around Hollywood in Los Angeles. So as we know, there are significant places, aren't there? And some of them you would have to say New York and Los Angeles in particular. The sound spreads from these places, doesn't it? And Baba mentioned Hollywood and places like Bollywood. There's a lot of Baba service that happens around Bollywood. We see that time to time in service reports that the centers around there, they tie Rakhi on some actor and some cricket player or something like that, simply because it just gets eyes on that. And certainly it would be very, very good if one of Baba's children who has purified themselves and then maybe takes birth back in the Iron Age, but becomes an actor or a director in Hollywood, that would attract attention. People's vision is on such people. So it would make sense to me that the way in which the advanced party souls would be spread would be at certain key places and in certain key positions and roles. I think the advanced party would be spread in all of the fields. So we'll see some who will have more influence on governments, some more in religions, some more in acting, some in sports. So I would anticipate a spread, but who is where, and I don't know that. Would anyone else like to come in with anything? Okay, well, thanks Ambika Ben for making it a rich session, and thanks to Mama for the moraling. And let's take that lesson from Mama that Raj Yogas are now about connecting all support to Baba, and we will have a sanskar where we'll go for a person. We'll even go support, even the support of our own intellect is a limited support. With the support of our own connections, the support of our own wealth, the support of our own specialities, these are all limited supports. Before we do anything, first step, talk to Baba. Tell Baba about this. And remember, we have a triple engine. We've got Shiv Baba, we've got Brahma Baba, and we've got Mama. So let's, good to have you here, Kamba. So let's check ourselves, take the lessons from this class, that am I really genuinely making Shiv Baba my one strength and one support? That he is the Father with 1,000 arms. What he can achieve is much more than if I had 1,000 people. Do I have this faith? And secondly, he is the seed of the tree. And there's a rule that if we remember the seed of the tree with love, the tree then cooperates with us. So we have to connect with the seed. Then the tree will come and cooperate with us. And I have a lot of that experience. So give those things a try, experiment with it, and then let's do that about what is Mama's Drishti like. It's a nice yoga experimentation for the month of June. So let's finish now with some more Drishti from Mama.
I just remember about Sahyog support. Last Sunday's Murli, you remember, Baba reminded everybody that Baba gives us all the support. All we have to do have connection with Baba. So, and then Baba pointed out that there shouldn't be any trace of negativity or even a trace of anger, because then it creates that vibration in your family. Remember that Baba's teaching? And then it goes to community and the country and then the entire world. Until you have mastered that much, you cannot do Vishwaseva. You cannot serve the world, although we say we are serving the world. So that checking wasn't it like that something? So it's clear, yeah?
It's clear.
I think Baba was saying also, if there's any trace of negativity, the Drishti or the Sakash will not reach where it
Yeah.
has to go,
Yeah.
and how important to have, Baba is telling us to have this love and compassion, because we sometimes tend to criticize and to see the faults, but Baba's reminding us over and over, go beyond that, accept people have their limitations, but to have this love and compassion, particularly in the Brahmin family, how important it is, and the power of the Brahmin family.
Total purity is the mother as the
Purity.
foundation. So Baba has been talking
Yes.
a lot about total purity in every way.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.